In this tutorial, we have ran scenario 1 to get our results, and we're now going to just briefly cover some of the output of AlphaSim. When you run AlphaSim from the GUI, you will get a folder with the name of whatever scenario that you are running in the overall folder holding the jar file. Inside this folder, we will have another folder called replication. We will have n of these folders, where n is the number of replications that you want to do. So for example, if I go here to additional parameters and change my number of replications to 4 and then click on run AlphaSim, what you'll see is that we get 4 different replications. Each one of these is identical but starts with a new random seed. Inside replication, we have the base folder. This is the folder holding the information about the base scenario. Inside the base folder, we have the actual output of AlphaSim, which is held in 3 different folders. The first is called the chromosomes folder and holds the information about the individual chromosomes that AlphaSim is simulating. The second is in the selection folder, and the third folder is the simulated data, which holds the overall data. We also have a folder for each of the different scenarios, which depend on the base scenario, such as random and selection scenario. So here we can see our random folder and our selection folder. Inside our random folder, we again have the 3 outputs from AlphaSim: chromosomes, simulated data, and selection. The final folder that you will notice here is this folder called spec files. This holds the actual input to the AlphaSim binary that will be run. We're not going to cover all of the output of AlphaSim. AlphaSim generates a large number of different files and covers a large amount of different genetic outputs. If you are interested in that, I suggest you read the manual. But here we're merely going to talk about some of the most important outputs from AlphaSim. The 2 files that I'm going to direct you to is chip1 SNP information. This gives you the SNP location on the chromosomes. And for the first chip, if you have more than 1 chip, you will have chip 2 SNP information, chip 3 SNP information, and so on. And inside all individual SNP chips, you can get the genotype and the phase of each animal at that particular SNP. The second output file to look at is pedigree and genetic values. This gives both the pedigree of the individual and the genetic values of the individual, or the breeding values. So here in the first column, we have which generation the individual is in. In this particular case, we're looking at the base data, so there's only a single generation. But if we look at instead the random simulated data here, we can see that now our generations will go up to generation 10. The second column holds the individual ID for each individual. The third column holds the individual's father and the individual's mother, where a value of 0 states that the mother or the father was unknown, and so their haplotypes were randomly selected from the historical population haplotypes generated by Max. We also have the breeding value for the individual. This is the normally distributed breeding value, and in this particular case we don't have any genetic or any gamma distribution QTN. So the gamma distributed breeding value would not be recorded. And furthermore, we record the breeding value for both unrestricted and restricted QTN. So this is the breeding value for the unrestricted, and this is the breeding value for the restricted. We also record what the dominance effects for unrestricted and restricted QTN are, and what the genetic value of the animal is. Note that when you aren't actually using dominance, i.e. your dominance effects are 0, the genetic value will be the same as the breeding value of the animal. The final thing that we have recorded in this file is the phenotype of the animal, the phenotype generated from unrestricted QTN, and the phenotype generated from the restricted QTN. Those are the most important outputs from AlphaSim, but as you can see here, there is a large number of different outputs covering all of the genetic information that AlphaSim produces. For full details on these outputs, you can look in the user